Hello, hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing my update for HRCYED, which is the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. I'm starting with version 2.0, and then we will circle around to version 1.0, because as a quick recap, I found out about HRCYED just a couple of weeks before the second one started. So normally I would have wanted to start with the first one and then work my way forwards to the second one, but because there was so much chatter going on and I wanted to be engaged with the different content that people were making, and also I wanted to just watch and participate in discussions and things like that, I decided to start with the second one and then circle back to the first one when I finished 2.0. I am just about done with 2.0, as we'll see here in a couple of minutes. And so I am going to be starting 1.0, or I did start 1.0 as of January 1st. Which has been fun. I've gotten a little bit of headway on it. We've only, of course, about 2.5 weeks in, so just bear that in mind once we get to the 1.0 updates. The next version of this update, so in the one in February, we'll have a little bit more because it'll have a full like 4.5 weeks or so of data. But let's go ahead and jump into number 2. So, oop. Um, as you can see, I got about 5% done in the month of December. That's because at this point I was mostly finishing up the challenge yourself, and I didn't actually get any of the new releases. Well, I got one new release done, the November new release, but I didn't get the December one completed, and I didn't finish the series Staircase. I was going to finish Sherry's Staircase, and I was actively reading it on New Year's Eve. I knew I was not going to finish it, but I thought maybe I'll finish it on New Year's Day and finish it as the first book of 2026. But then I took a break from reading and was working on my Journey Through the Stars, and I was like, oh, this book fits into that prompt so well. Should I just put it down and come back to it in about 2 weeks or so when I am ready to get to that planet where it fits? And I went back and forth on it for a little bit, and I decided, yes, that makes the most sense. I didn't love it, but I wanted to go ahead and use that book. So I put it down, and I will be picking it up probably here in the next couple of days. It took me a little bit longer to get caught up than I thought it would for Journey Through the Stars. But they had to be done in order. Like, you have to finish all of the training module in order, and then you have to finish every planet. It doesn't have to be each planet in order, but the planets themselves have to be in order. So it's like 3 books and 2 books and 3 books, or is it 3, 3, 2? Anyway, I'm trying to knock out the first 3 planets in the month of January. So, well, we'll see how it goes. I may only get to 2. But I do want to finish this one. If I get close to the end of the month and I have not yet finished the book because I'm not at that planet yet, then I will likely just pick it up and finish it and pick another book for that planet because I do want to finish it. So, as I've chatted way too much, I'm just going to sort of flash by and say, yes, I completed it. I didn't do anything in this month. Normally, I just have a big check mark on the screen saying, yes, I finished it, but I know a lot of people are looking for ideas, so I wanted to go ahead and, at least for this one, pop them on screen so that you can see. So here's my By the Hundreds challenge, and my readathon, which normally I would not get through this many books in a 24-hour readathon. I was dealing with a lot of insomnia this week, and a lot of these books are either shorter or were on audio to where it was way faster to get through. So normally I'm like 3 to 4 books on a 24-hour readathon. Just keeping that in mind, this is a bit more than I would normally get to. Subgenres. I must have forgotten to change winter, but winter was, I believe, a November book, so it wouldn't be on there, but I did really enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to reading the anthology of novellas that is like after the series is over. I wanted to read in January. We will see. It may be a February book, but it is called, do I have it on my TBR? No, that's only the stars though. I fit it into one of my challenges that I was going to be doing in quarter 1 that would make sure to knock it out because I do want to finish this series. I have read every book except for that last one, every short story that I could get my hands on, everything in this universe generally, because there's quite a bit out there that is outside of the normal this is the book series. There's like short stories and things that are out and about to look for. So if you're really enjoying this series, check it out. I will probably put that as a series that I review once I'm fully finished with everything, because I very much enjoyed that YA series. Alrighty then. So Series Staircase is the first one where I said, hey, I didn't finish it. I planned on it, started it. That's this one. Black Tide is the last one. I'm at halfway-ish done at this point. I will finish it up as soon as I get to that planet, which should be hopefully in the next couple of days. I have 2 books I need to read before I can get there. So almost caught up. It's taken me longer than I thought it would to get through that, because I've been waiting as books come available, etc. But I'm looking forward to finishing it up. There are some trigger warnings for this series, though I am a fan of Carrie Arthur's work generally, and I do like this series. There needs to be some awareness that, and I don't know if it actually has them on the page, because I listened to this one, so I don't know if they have it in like a page at the beginning, but there is discussion of children dying and or being killed, and also discussion of genocide. So those are, I mean, there's other themes and discussions that are a little darker in this one than in some of her other stuff, which is fine. It's a little bit different than her other series is, in that manner, and that they are a very appointed presence, both of those items, for the main character. And so she brings it up several times in each book, because it not only has to do with the active arc of the storyline where it's going through each book, but also the reason the character is so invested in seeing the outcome at the end of the series. So just be aware of that. If that is not something for you, feel free to skip it. But I do really like her series generally. I think I've read 2 or I think this is the 3rd series of hers that I've read, and I will probably finish her entire catalog at some point. All right, award season. Let me know if I did this wrong. Just those else people who are doing her kid. I thought we were allowed to do more than one award. Like, I didn't think they all had to be from just one award. So these are from a couple different awards, because they were books that either I was going to read or I wanted to read, that fit in here, and I tried to keep them, in a minimum number. I think there were 3, but I've just watched some other people's content on this to see like ideas for other things, for books, etc. And just because I want to interact and discuss and yada yada. And it seems like a lot of people are doing it just as a single award. So did I do that wrong? Do I need to redo this page? Let me know. I chose Cluedo for my TBR game, and these are the books I did. The most complicated one for me was the historical book A Cat Would Enjoy. I don't know what my cat would enjoy. I can't ask them. So maybe that's just how my brain works. It's yeah. So I ended up choosing this one because yeah. I started to, hey husband, these are my options of like themes and etc. Which one do you think a cat would enjoy more? And yeah, we went with this one. It's got witches, so like witches and cats, and it's a little creepy and a little spooky. And the color scheme is the same color scheme as the cat. So I was like, well, that's the way I'm gonna go with for this one. But how did y'all decide that? I mean, obviously you probably didn't all have the same game, let alone the same spin I did. But like, how would you determine a book that your cat would enjoy? I don't know. My brain just says I can't ask them what they like, so how am I gonna know? Like, am I gonna pick a book that has a cat toy on the front? Like that seems a bit on the nose, and I don't know how to find a book with a cat toy on the nose. I could probably find one if I spent long enough, but anyway, moving on. Last 10 years, I did finish Through Gates of Garnet and Gold. Apparently, I forgot to purple that one. Sorry about that, but I finished that actually about less than 48 hours ago. So I did enjoy it. 3 stars. It was almost a 4-star. It is one of my of this series, one of the ones I've enjoyed more. I don't know if it's my absolute favorite from the series so far, but I did really enjoy it generally. So would recommend, and I will continue to pick up this series as I go forwards. Next up, Wicked. First off, nothing like the musical other than like brief parts of it and the characters. Just and then obviously the movies are based on the musical. So if that is something that you are wanting to pick up the book because you want to essentially read the musical, not the way you want to go. It is a lot darker. It has a lot more adult concepts and themes. It's got discussions that are very much in the movie and in the musical, but they're explored much more in depth. And the movie and the musical take place mostly during the school years and directly after, versus the book takes place well after. Like, this is the book that has this much of it is school time frame, and then like this is the length of the book. Like, there's quite a bit going on. It is much darker. I would not say that it is the same in any way other than the very little bit, and then the characters are the same. It goes much darker and much later. I don't know if I'll read the next one. I'm back and forth. I'm like, do I want to? I don't know. I really did like the first one, but do I want to go on? I'm going back and forth just because of how this one went. And then I read After Alice, which is another one by the same author, and I didn't love After Alice. I'm thinking to myself, do I love this one only for its own merit, or do I love it because I already knew the characters going into it and I liked learning more about them because I'm a lore girly. I love learning more about characters and continuing on like epilogue, but like here's a novella that happens after kind of an epilogue, not like the last chapter as an epilogue. Those are fine too, but like generally I very much enjoy lore and learning more about a world and characters. So is that why I loved this one as much as I did? Because I gave it 4 stars. It was barely a 4-star, but it was a 4-star. I don't know. If you read the second one, let me know. Tell me, is it worth jumping into? Is it as good as the first one? Is it the same sort of like feeling as the first one? Like, what's going on? Because I'm still deciding. Disability challenge. I've talked about all of these ones before. I did like the All Access series generally. They were all 3 and 4 stars for me. I think they were all actually 4 stars and 5 stars. They may have been 4 and 5 stars for me. Very much enjoyed them. I thought they were decently done. There was character growth, which I like. You don't always see that in romances. There's disability representation, obviously. There was just generally, I liked them. They were cute, fast reads, but they kept my attention and they made me happy. So now, How Heathcliff Stole Christmas. That is a novella that is part of a larger series. I would not pick this one up if you don't like White Shoes and you don't like at least a 4 spice. There may have been a 5 spice in there, but most of them I feel like were 4s. It does have the series generally has pretty much all elements you might find in a White Shoes, in that you have MF, you have MFM, and I believe there was one that was MMF as well. The like one book. And there's also one character who is bi. So there is discussion in one of the books of a previous partner of his that was male. And you meet that partner and it's interesting. And you're like, what? Excuse me? Because this series generally is she works at a bookstore and characters come out of the books and into her world, and cause a bit of chaos and things go on, and yeah. So, FYI, this is a spicier series. It is why choose. There is discussion of poly and ethical non-monogamy in one of the books. There's another character that they're discussing um, what a polyamorous relationship might look like in the long term for this group. So I have not finished the series, but I imagine that we're going to get into a more established relationship going forwards from where I'm at so far in the series. Heritage months. Originally, I was going to pick up the books during the month of the Heritage month, but when I decided, like, I want to say October-ish, that it may have been November, that I was going to do 1.0 starting in January, that I thought I'd get far enough in that I could start it, I decided not to do that. I decided to go and pick them all up and knock them out so that I would have one less required read for every single month, since I was going to be going and adding 1.0 in. So I did not read them in the months that they were like allocated to, but that wasn't a requirement. You just got extra points if you did. So here you go. I enjoyed most of these. You can't really see the top one. We have talked about it before, but that's A Well-Trained Wife. And it is about Christian patriarchy and abuse and a woman's realizations and saving her children and getting out of the relationship and the situation she was in and all of the things that happened to her. Um, and it very much, I mentioned it before, but it resonated with me because of things that I've gone through personally, and it also just it was a good read. I don't know if it's going to be a read that everybody will want to pick up, but I I don't know if I can say I enjoyed it. I resonated with it and I found value in it. Translations. I am finding so many more things that are translated now that I finished this page. There's like, oh, that was translated. Oh, this is translated. Interesting. But these are the ones I ended up doing for my original translations. I'm also reading the One Piece comics, which also fit into Japanese. And I'm trying to think what else have I read that's. I've read a couple others that have been translated since then. I don't know that if I read The Alchemist again, I would probably rate it higher. At the time, I just was not vibing. I was not really wanting to pick it up, and I think that definitely affected the rating because my ratings are still vibe based. I'm experimenting with other options. And I think if I read it again, I would probably rate it a 3. At the time, though, I did rate it a 2. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to pick one, it's not necessarily a bad book at all. I've definitely seen it on people's like top 10 of all time books. I don't think it will ever be my top 10 of all time books, but I don't necessarily think it was as bad as I was feeling when I left, just because I was not wanting to read it at the time. Um, like I started it and then I just wasn't. I'm a mood reader, and it wasn't the mood I was in, and I think it definitely affected how I rated this one, which is one of the reasons I'm experimenting. We'll talk about that in a few months after I get a lot more data on that and other options, etc. Or at least maybe like refine the way I do it. And that's probably the way I'm going to do is take all the data I get over the next few months of doing lots of different types of methods, etc., and then refine the way I do it to be more fair to books like this one, where I probably would have and should have rated it a little bit higher than I did, but it just wasn't, I wasn't feeling it, and it ended up negatively affecting the review a bit, and I don't know that that's fair. So I either need to be more cognizant of that and pay more attention and sort of think through things a little more, especially if you're doing like a vibe where it's just I've already discussed the way I'm currently doing them. But yeah, we'll skip through. I do think probably Alchemist would get a 3 if I reread it. I'll leave it there. All right. Why is my uh-oh. Okay. Apologies. It's going to do weird things, but I can't. Apparently my clicker's not working right now. Even Bigger Rainbow. Here are all the books here. I've read at least 2 or 3 rainbows at this point. The only ones I probably haven't finished fully is the Gold and Silver. Everything else, I think that I finished this rainbow at least 3 times in the last 6 months. I've read a lot of colors, and this is the easiest one in my opinion to get them all, just because you don't really have to know anything other than what does it look like, and there's so many really colorful books out there right now. So yeah, these are the ones I chose. Now it works again. All right, quote. I did read one for this one. I finished the quote in December. It was Find Out Who You Are, Do It on Purpose. And I read Dark Purpose, which is a Charlie Cross series, which is mysteries. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm reading 2 other series. This would be the third one, that all are similar. They are female protagonist, crime / mystery solving, some sort of a version of forensics and or criminal proceedings going on, where you're talking about police procedural. That's what I was looking for. Police procedural elements, and they're all out there. They're all different, and they're all good in their own right, and they all have different things that are either a different setting or different location. Oh, setting is location, different time period, which is also part of setting. Anyway, different settings, different people, different characters, but they're all very similar, and I can't prioritize all 3 of them, otherwise all I would have on my TBR would be the same vibe. So, unfortunately, I'm going to put this one on a non-prioritized, but still fit it in when I can, because I did enjoy it. So, we will probably see at least one of these in 2026, but I don't know when. So, FYI, I did enjoy it. It was fun. Well, it wasn't fun, but it was interesting, and it kept my attention throughout. It was interesting to get to know the character as well. All right, spookies. I did all of these in a while ago. These are some of the first ones I finished because I love spooky creatures. Generally, they're like, I've always said I like reading paranormal and fantasy because you get similar stories as you get elsewhere, but they can have a little bit more of a twist on the end and on the characters. And you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely a crime procedural or police procedural thriller, but there's a werewolf. How is that going to go wrong? And so I enjoy it. I think it's fun. But anyways, of these, I definitely am going to finish up, obviously, the Outcast series. I've got one more left to finish that one. And I already finished Hidden Legacy, which has 2 of them on here under Zombie and Magic User. Both of those are from the same series. And I am going to, at some point, do have the A Flesh of Bone, the What Lies Beyond the Veil. I don't know if I will finish Filthy Rich Vampires. I got bored in the second book. It just got really slow. I eventually picked up, but I was just like, I don't know if I want to pick up the next one. I got a little annoyed and a little perturbed with how slow it was going and some of the way the characters were acting, etc. But I transitioned over to Filthy Rich Fae, and I didn't have that same issue. I mean, there's still miscommunication, which is one of my least favorite tropes in romance generally. Right up there with pregnancy. I don't like surprise pregnancy either. But it wasn't as bad. So, take that as you will. Let me know if you've read the whole series. I believe this one's a Kindle Unlimited one, and it was a little longer than I think that it probably could have been. I think it would have been edited down a bit. It would have had a faster pace, and it would have kept me interested throughout the entire thing. So, next up, both of the Become the Avatars. This is the picture. I also did the titles. Everything for picture was already done. And then titles, I did read Airbound, which is the 3rd one in the series. I read the first 2 so that I could read the 3rd one, because I realized that this wasn't just interconnected stories. It literally was like all the people living on a plot of land, and they all had their own house, but they were like sisters, but more like found family kind of thing. And I was going to see them in other ones. And then as soon as I started reading the first one, I realized, oh, this is connected to another series I started last year that I never finished. So will that bite me? I don't know. And yeah, there was a character. I was like, oh, I don't know your story, but we're mentioning your story, so Did I get spoiled? I don't know. I don't think so. I think there was enough of a like time gap that it wouldn't necessarily change the story if I was reading the other series and then moved into this one. But just be aware there is another series that is the same location, and I believe it's the Seven Sisters trilogy. I think there are seven sisters. I only read the first one, and I read it for a prompt last year and then forgot to go back and read the rest of them, unfortunately. All right, Readathon. We already discussed it. This one was Aurelium the Fall version, which took place September, I want to say. Very much enjoyed it. The next one is coming up in April, and I will be participating with both my characters, at least that's the plan, in April. All right, animal friends, again, already finished all of these in previous ones, but my husband finished reading Hollow Kingdom, the second book on that one, and he said that it was really good and that he thinks I would enjoy it. So I will likely add the second one of this series to my TBR at some point in the near-ish future. I'm not going to prioritize it as like a immediate because I have several other books that are coming in from the library here pretty quickly that I really, really, really want to read. But this one will go on once a spot opens up at the library where I can put the request in and I'll hold the request in. I will request this one. All right. Again, I already finished this one, but I'll leave it up in case anybody wants any suggestions. You can't see the top. I apologize. That is Stoneheart. It is a novella prequel to the series. So if you want to start with this one, I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing to start with the prequel, but I don't think it really gave me a ton of information that, like, I don't think not having it when I read the first one would have spoiled anything. Though Medusa is mentioned in a few later. So I would probably read this one fairly early in your reading journey just so that you have all of, well, reading journey for the series, just so you have all the data. This is a very spicy series generally, and it goes all over the rainbow on who is involved, how many people are involved. It leans, a lot of them lean a little darker. The first one is very, I wouldn't say it's super, super dark. I would say that it is very kink forward. This one does have, it is shorter. It discusses some dark topics, but the sapphic romance within it is not necessarily dark itself, if that makes sense. There are other ones where there is an enemy lovers one. There is a Trials and Games-esque one that is a MMF version. I have not, or book, not version. I've not finished the series yet, but I feel like it's going to be all over the rainbow by the time it is complete, which is really interesting. And if that's not your jam for either the like 5 chili peppers that some of these books have, or being all over the place and you're just looking for very specific relationship types in your romances, then maybe this isn't your book series, but I'm enjoying it. It's very much in my wheelhouse because it is Greek mythology, but retold in a contemporary setting. I'll leave it at that. Look into it if you think you might be interested. Mask of Shadows, very much did enjoy that one as well. The second one you've seen previous pages, and I didn't like it as much as this one. This one was good. So is the 5th season. I'm going to finish the 5th season this year. The book series, not the actual book. I already finished the first book. But I do intend to finish, there you go, finish the 5th season's book, which at the moment I cannot remember what the name of the series is. I apologize, but it was amazing, and I will be reading the next one, which is The Obelisk Gate, but I don't remember what the name of the series is at the time. HRCYED, I will be doing this one again, so you will be seeing some of the same authors pop up, specifically Elizabeth Wheatley, Lindsay Ellis, Piper CJ, and maybe John Green. I think John Green is also popping up. I don't know that Abby Jimenez is on my 1.0 actual, but I may change it. We'll see. BIPOC challenge. Loved several of these books that are on here. Trial of the Sun Queen. I may or may not read the second one, even though it was a 4-star, because I was like, the second one is either going to amaze me or I'm going to hate it because of how the first one ended. So I haven't picked it up yet. Trail of Lightning, obviously it was a 5-star read for me this year. Blood of Brighthaven, also a 5-star read for me this year. 5th season, 4-star, but it was edging up on being a 5-star read for me. They were amazing, and I think everything else we've either talked about elsewhere or even today. So we'll skip on through. New releases. I read 3 new releases in December and the first half of January. Brimstone I read in December, and then The Mating Game and Gates of Garnet and Gold. Through Gates of Garnet and Gold I read in January. I enjoyed all of these. My favorite obviously was Brimstone of the 3 that I read, but Through Gates of Garnet and Gold was almost a 4-star. It is a shorter book, and it's really difficult for novellas and short books to get to a 4-star for me because of the amount of world building and or character growth that I feel that I need to see in order to get to a 4-star personally. I just don't. Similar reason for why most romances, even though I really like them, don't tend to be above like a 3, maybe 4-star. It just doesn't happen all that often. Again, exploring ways to other ways to check other than just vibe on my rating. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I enjoyed all the books that I read this month for new releases. Challenge yourself. I did the Literary Escapes Challenge, which I did not include the 10 countries because I was already doing countries elsewhere and decided it didn't really matter. I just did just the 51, so 50 states plus DC for the actual Challenge Yourself portion of it, though Literary Escapes does have an additional, this year has 11. I think last year it may have only had 5 or 6 countries. You can choose your own, you have to go to different countries. The countries are of your choice though, versus these are, the states are what they are. In the month of, let me move this over so you can see. Hold on. In the month of December and January, I read 3 Kinds of Lucky. Really enjoyed that one. Already have the second one on a please alert me when it comes out because it's coming out, I believe, next month. And if I can get it from my library, I will be reading it. I very much enjoyed this one. Different from a lot of Kim Harrison stuff that I've read in the past, and that how some of the magic was structured was a little bit different. And it hooked me a lot faster, I felt, than some of her other series, but I will be reading the second one. All right, and then we'll scooch back over. I read another Charlene Harris book that I may pick up another one of. This one has elements of paranormal stuff to it, but it is not necessarily a paranormal book, I will say. Shakespeare's Landlord, which is a Lily Bard series. Cute. Lily Bard, Shakespeare. Adorable. It does discuss it in the book a little bit about that. They have a nod to, yes, we know, we did this on purpose. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a 3-star. It wasn't my absolute favorite book, but I did enjoy it quite a bit. So I will probably at some point pick up another one. Cure for the Common Breakup was so cute. It was definitely a might read again at some point, but it wasn't a yes for sure we'll read again, so it got stuck at a 3. But it's on the potentially in the future reading again. Christmas You Found Me, also a 3-star Christmas holiday vibes book. It was cute. It wasn't my absolute favorite. There was miscommunication, and I don't love that, but it was cute. And I've said that like 10 times. Other than that, I had 3 more on the bottom row, so there's nothing on the next 2. Beautiful Creatures, I thought I would give this a 4. I ended up only rating it a 3. It is a YA, and there are definite themes within it that I was like, okay, it's dragging me down. I would have preferred a little bit more substance to some of the stuff that was in there, and it just wasn't there. And I don't know if that's why it was like, yeah, Like there was a party scene that I was like, whatevs. Um, and then there was a couple other things that were definitely like, yes, we are definitely in high school. And why are there mean girls going on? This is ridiculous. But that was the story, right? I mean, it is YA, and sometimes you're gonna get characters that are those tropes when you're reading that type of book. You may even get that in adult books, but they're more frequent in YA. And I felt it was unnecessary, but it was interesting, and I may pick up the next one at some point in the future just to sort of understand more about the magic and that side of thing, because I think that is cool with the world. I just am not loving the mean girl high school drama part of it. And they're calling it small town issues, but it's not. It's high school and unnecessary drama. Again, I may have been in a bad mood because I was expecting one thing because there was a movie about it. So I was like, oh, they're gonna probably has all these really cool, and it did not come up to where I thought it was gonna be. Nearly Dead in Deadwood, Nearly Departed in Deadwood. Sorry, um, was cute. Has actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the Shakespeare's Landlord didn't have. I don't think it actually had anything that was paranormal. There were. It ended up, yeah. Anyway, but this one definitely did had some paranormal aspects in it. Um, Cute mystery realtor ish. She's a single mom realtor, and there's there's a whole thing where they never find out what the guy that one of the guys she's talking to his job is, and he just keeps it a secret for like the entire book. And I'm like, why? Why was that necessary? But it was to keep things going so that like she kept being more interested in trying to figure things out. It was another thing you could figure out throughout the series, right? Or throughout the book. So I did think that part was unnecessary. I was like, there's no reason. But he was just trying to keep everything like on the DL because like supernatural spookiness and like she might not believe him. Okay? Like other people know. Like somebody could have told her. Like I don't understand. Anyways. And then The Lost Symbol was another 3-star. Um it is one of Dan Brown's Robert Langdon books. It does take place in DC. It was not my favorite of his books, and I don't actually know that this one has a movie. I know at least 2 of them have movies. I don't know if this one does, but it was okay. It's a thriller, in case you're curious. Nonfiction, I didn't read any of these this month, but I did like them, all for the most part. On Tyranny should only be a 4-star, not a 5-star. I don't know how that happened. Sorry. Um, Mini reviews, Q's reviews. The mini review, obviously. I loved Blood Over Brighthaven so much. So that one got a 5-star. Circus Infinite was a 4-star. I really enjoyed it. I wish there was a follow-up book to this. I haven't seen anything about there being a next book after this. I think it's supposed to be a standalone, but I would go into a second book on this one because I think that the world is interesting and I would like to know more about it. I would even follow the same character if like that there's no problems there whatsoever. I could definitely do something on a different character too. I just really like this world. I think it's cool. Um, Teller of Small Fortunes. I ended up going with a 3-star on this one. It was cozy. It was nice. It wasn't my absolute favorite fantasy of all time, but I think that's because I like a little bit. I don't like cozy fantasy as much as I like other forms of fantasy, and so that's more of a me thing. I do think it was well done. All right, secret prompts. Fairest, the first one is Shonda Hahn, I Know You Can't See, and then Fairest, Gail Carson Levine. Those are 2 books with the same title. And then I did Winnie the Pooh because I never read Winnie the Pooh. I know, well, at least not that I know of. I know that I watched Winnie the Pooh, and I saw Winnie the Pooh when we went to like was it Universal or Disney, that type of thing. But I don't think I ever read Winnie the Pooh. So I picked up Winnie the Pooh this month in January, and I read that. And then we get into 1.0. We're 40 minutes in. Whew, apologies. So I've already read 19% in the month of January. So I feel like we're doing decently well. Um, Essentially, when I pick up a book for any challenge, I'm going through and saying, okay, can this book fit any prompt in anything that I am reading currently? I'll probably do that for the first 3 or 4 months, and then I will have done everything that fits multiple prompts pretty easily and have to start pulling individual prompts or maybe like twosies here and there. But for now, every book that I have read so far in the month of January has fit into a prompt. So that's why we've made such good progress. All right, so step up. The first one is I didn't do anything for 500 pages in one day. I originally was going to read White Witch Black Curse, but I've had a couple other ones come up as they are over 500 pages. So if I read it and it happens to be done in one day and it's not this book, I'll pop it in there. But so far, that's the plan. We've already gone through most of these on a different one, so I'm not going to go too much into the ones that are shaded out because I haven't read those. But Alphabet Challenge, I've read more than this generally for Alphabet Challenge, but I'm trying to only put books on my Dolly Cast Alphabet Challenge for title specifically that are not elsewhere on HRCYED. I can put them on author and I can put them on literary escapes, but I cannot put them on here because I want this page to be all stuff that is not elsewhere on HRCYED so that I can use the Alphabet Challenge here. So I have 5 books so far for the month of January. Barbarian Lover, which I read originally for, I believe, Romanceopoly, and it fit really well a couple other places, but Alphabet Challenge, why not? It starts with B. It was 3-star. It was okay. It was not my favorite. I've only read 3 of them so far, so. But I think that she had a bit more independence and choice, which I thought was cool and nice. I liked that part about it, but I could see why some people might not love it. It does have discussions of infertility, and there is a mention of pregnancy loss by a different character, and there are several pregnant characters mentioned as well. So if any of those things are not your cup of tea, obviously this is a more spicy, definitely purposefully an erotic romance type of thing with very large blue ice world aliens. Let's see. Earwig and the Witch. I pulled this one because it fits into my Studio Ghibli challenge, which we're not really chatting about because it's just like I want to watch all the Studio Ghiblis and read the books at some point in the next year or so because I never did. And so I rewatched and read Earwig and the Witch this month, and it was cute. I thought it was cute. I also thought that those were horns on her head originally. No, not horns, pigtails. Just FYI, in case you all said the same thing. I was like, why does this kid have horns? Not horns, pigtails. Cute. I feel like the movie was longer than I anticipated with how short the book was. But it, yeah, 3 stars for both book and movie. First Meetings is an anthology, so it ended up getting 3 stars. Mostly just because it is all shorter stories, and they tend to not do super highly for me on seeing enough growth and change to go higher than a 4-star on my personal vibe meter. But I did enjoy it. Hemlock and Silver, 4-star, almost 5-star. Really, really loved this book. Finished it in a day. And just devoured it. It was another one that my husband had read and said, hey, you'll probably like this one. So I'm glad that it finally came available and I read it. It was not on my TBR for the month at all, but it became available, and I had remembered the reason I added it was because my husband suggested it, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to read that one because I'm in the mood for some fantasy, and T. Kingfisher usually does a really good job, and I loved it. And then Shadowface. I did not love this one. I didn't hate it because it was a dark romance, but I just didn't love it generally. It wasn't my fave. There were parts of it I did like, but not enough of it to save it and bring it up to a 3-star, in my opinion. I was I don't know. So I feel like if it had been an audiobook, maybe I would have gotten a little bit more into it, because sometimes you can get a really good narrator that like saves and pulls things together, and it really they do a really really good job. But I was reading this on my e-reader, and it never got up to the point where I was like, yes, I would say that I like this book and that I might possibly suggest it to another person. So I don't know. How did y'all feel about this one? Maybe it was where I was feeling at the time, and it wasn't my favorite uh, of dark romances. I definitely did suggest another dark romance for my husband to read, because it came up on something. He was like, "Have you heard of this book series?" And I was like, "Yes, read that series. It is phenomenal." But this isn't one of those that I would suggest for him to read, or for pretty much anybody that I regularly interact with to read. I could see some people that I might say, yeah, you might like that, but I probably not on my list. So anyway, let me know what your thought is on that one. I don't usually rate things 2-star, and I feel a little bit bad. So yeah, it could be my vibes for the day. Apologies if it is. I am not done with Uprooted, so you don't see a star rating on it yet. I'm actively reading it now. I'm about 43% through, if I remember from when I was looking at it earlier when I pushed pause to record. And I am liking this one a lot. I'm leaning towards it's heading towards a 4-star at this point, but I'm only 50%, I'm not less than 50% through it. So that could change, but enjoying. Very much has similar vibes as several other Naomi Novik books, but it's fairy tale. It's Eastern European setting, but also another world potentially. Some of them are in Eastern Europe, some are just Eastern European inspired worlds. And so those things are similar, and that there is magic, which is another similarity. But I think that's about it. Like, I haven't seen so far any fae or anything like that. It's just been the magic of the wood. And I'm interested to know more about this magic and the magic of the wood, and how they are differing, and how they oppose, and how the kingdom is involved in it. And yeah, interested very much. I don't know if I'll finish it tonight, but I'll definitely finish it tomorrow if I don't finish it tonight. Garage sale books, these ones might change, but this is what I have so far. Authortuber books, I had 5 originally. I removed one of them. I can't remember if I moved it to a different page or if I removed it altogether because I was wrong or had already read it potentially. I'm not sure why when I'm thinking back on it. But yes, so you can see Elizabeth Wheatley's on here, Piper CJ's on here, John Green's on here. So I could go back and grab a book from either of the other 2 that I had to fill this one. So we may go that route. And then I added one I have not read yet. Read any like a new to me author, which is Brightly Burning by Alexa Donne. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name, but if you've read it, let me know because it sounds interesting and new to me author. So I'm interested. 4-star or 4+ books, not 4-star books. 4+ books in the series. There are 5 in this series, which is a spinoff of the original, from what I understand, um, series. This is like a prequel. I think they said prequel, but I haven't started it yet. They are available, or at least the first one's available on Kindle Unlimited. So that's likely how I'm going to be reading these ones, is through that. If I haven't seen any of my library cards have them on audio, so it will likely be an e-reader series for me. Small booktubers, these are the ones that were recommended when I was looking through, so they will likely be these actual books. If I'm watching another small author tuber and I see a book that I really, really, really want to read more than something on here, then maybe I'll switch out a book. But these are sort of ingrained for now. Other countries, I just got Appointment with Death to my phone, so I will probably read that one in January so that I will have 4 on my other countries list done by the end of January. And then I read The Merriest Misters last night. It was cute. It is an MM post-marriage, falling in love again, adventure together, but also discovering who we are as people and who we are together. And it was a cute one. I enjoyed it. I was not a super fan of the ending, but that ending could definitely work for some people. It just wouldn't work for a romance for myself. Like I wouldn't want that ending for myself. But it does have a at least a happily for now. I'm not sure if it's going to be happily ever after because it doesn't really get into that. It doesn't like have an epilogue way later. They just have a plan and they are in love. So, FYA on that one. It is a happily for now. So you even at times you're like, oof, it will come back. Lowest rated books. These are the 5 lowest rated books that were on my at the time it was Goodreads list. I have not moved. I need to go through my Goodreads because that is years of just, oh, I heard about something on Instagram. Let me go add it. It's like 1,400 books there. That is too many books, and I may not even be interested in the same types of books anymore. So I need to go through and clean that up. But these are the ones that I have currently on the list that were the lowest rated. I have not picked one for direct from an indie author, and I haven't gone to a local bookstore either. Spell Your Name. I actually got quite a few on this one done. I read Small Magics, which is another anthology from Alona Andrews's. Um, oh, what is the name of that series? My brain just stopped. Sorry, I'll remember in a minute. But from this series and the series in general, I am enjoying. Several of the books, novellas, short stories that are in this one, I feel like I've already read or it was just it was like another perspective. So it wasn't my absolute favorite, but I like lore and I like getting more info and learning more about what's going on in a world. So I definitely am glad I read it. It just wasn't my favorite of their books. One Dark Window, 4 stars. I will be picking up the next one. I have already requested it from the library. Um, Excited. Sad it's duology though. Like I feel like yes, it's probably gonna wrap it all up, and it's fast paced, so that makes sense. But I would like some more. I feel like in this world so far. And then Glint, I've already gotten the next one from the library. I don't think I'm gonna get to it this week, probably at all. I may get to it by the end of January, but likely it may even go into February because this is I think a 3 week check out. I usually like to get to them pretty quickly especially if there are multiple people asking for it. But my library has so many copies of this one, it isn't a problem. No one's waiting on it. So I will not, it won't be as prioritized as something that someone else is waiting on a copy for, if that makes sense. Dungeons and Drama. It was cute. Glint should be a 4. Why does it say, sorry, Glint should be a 4. It shouldn't be a 3. I messed that up on the thing. Dungeon Drama is a 3. It's YA. It's cute. I read it because we're starting a new campaign with some friends, and for D&D. Never D&D with these people before, but we enjoy them as friends and as people. So we're going to be starting a new campaign with them next weekend. So like in less than a week at this point. And so it felt very timely and cute, and so it fit, and I went ahead and grabbed it for there. And then for the A, I chose Accidentally Wedded to a Werewolf, which was a book for the month. Was it not? Yes, for Romanceopolis study session. I have my TBR list in front of me. I was like, I know I wrote it down. So yeah, I went ahead and did that one. And then the Evangelicals, I don't count the or a. If it's like a blah 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 or the blah 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 blah, I don't count the or a as the first word personally. If you do, that's fine. I not, but you'll see like the roommate. I didn't count the, just roommate for R, and the evangelicals is just evangelicals. It starts with the first word after the or a. If it's any other word, pretty much I will. So like how definitely gets counted numbers would get counted, whatever it is. It's just DNA don't count. I've been in multiple challenges over the years with like the first word other than, and I just kind of got into that habit. Let me know if you think that that is incorrect, and maybe I will switch those out. But that is how I've done it in the past and how I sort of set it up for this one. Evangelicals, I already sort of talked about, I believe, elsewhere. I feel like I got a lot out of it, but it wasn't, it was still a 3-star for me, but it was interesting. And I felt like I understood the author, and that we had a lot in common. If we were chatting about our experiences, we would have a lot that we could probably get along and chat about. But still ended up being a 3 for me. A SPFBO, I haven't read any of these yet, but they're kind of locked in. Cursed Cocktails is the one I'm most excited to read. Complete webcomic, I don't know for sure that I'm going to go with Muted. I have a list somewhere. Hold on. I have a list of potential ones that would fit this prompt. But Muted is one of the ones that would. So I went ahead and put it in there because it was an easy enough one to grab a picture of. And some of the other ones, I want to do a little bit more research before I pick one. This will probably be one I do in the next couple of months. Won't be one I do in January for sure. But I do have a list. It's like double-sided. Well, there's a couple on the back. New releases. I chose new releases that, as you can see here, would have been if I had been participating in the regular time frame of 1.0. So they're not active ones for right now, and I did that purposefully so that it wouldn't be the same, like be competing with the same ones for 2.0, because I'm still doing new releases there, obviously. So these are all going to be ones released the previous 12 months. I didn't read any yet, but I have several of them on here that are on my hopefully soon list. I'm waiting for them from the library. Top 10, 1988, for those counting. Queen of the Damned, I have not gotten it from the library yet, and it's probably not going to be one that I feel like I really want to jump into. Back in the day, like in high school, I remember seeing this book on shelves and thinking about buying it. But I was more into other vampire books than this one. I loved even paranormal romance even back then. But yeah, I will pick this up at some point. It's not a priority for me at the moment, but it is one I remember seeing when I was younger and being like, yeah, I should totally read that, which is interesting. I did my 24 hours. There are more than that here, more than needed, but 2 of them are very short, specifically Through the Looking Glass and Winnie the Pooh. So those were both done in like a couple of hours, like total. And then the other ones were while I was working on other things and into the evening. And but yeah, I did enjoy most of these ones. They all ended up being 3 stars. The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year was a high 3-star, but I don't know that it was enough to push me all the way into a 4-star. So I ended up going with a 3, but it was really good. I did enjoy it. Recipe in a Book. I plan on doing a whole video on this one because I did do the recipe. I did the quiche that's from the recipe. I plan on doing our quiche that's from the book. I plan on also doing a risotto that's in the book. And I have the recipe over here somewhere. And then I also did just another quiche that was similar, so we could have 2 quiches. We could sort of like compare. So yeah, I'm doing a bit of cooking for this one. So I wanted to, I don't know how it's going to come out. I've never done editing for something like that before, so it may not come out right away, but I have done the first 2 items. I still want to do the risotto. So I don't know if I'll record the risotto or just tell you about it when I do the review, depending on how it came out. But it's like a salmon and mascarpone cheese. Is that how you say that? Mascarpone cheese risotto. It looks wonderful. So I'm hopeful that it's going to be really good. This series has actual recipes in the back of the book, and you can look up online what recipes are in each book. So if you're looking for a recipe in a book, this series is a good option. It is mysteries. You will have to suspend disbelief. there are definitely things in there you're like, seriously, why are the cops so bad at their job? Uh, why, what is this? What is going on with this town? But it will definitely fit your prompt, and you have lots of options, so you can pick, what you want to potentially cook. Just, just go on the internet. I told you literally each book in the series and what recipes are in the back. Genre challenge. I did sci-fi, romance, and historical for this time period. I do think I switched out at least one of these. Sci-fi definitely got switched out, and romance may have got switched out from what the original was. But like I said, I'm trying to fit them in wherever they go. And yeah, I think my favorite obviously was Enter in Exile, as I'm really into this series right now. But no, it was definitely better than both the other two. Historical is a historical romance as well, obviously. You can tell from the cover. Not my absolute favorite. I don't really love historical generally. I remember liking it more when I was younger, but that was also what I could read. What I was able to get my hands on. It's not something I reach for generally. It's not my fave. But yeah, it was cute. Crowdfunded. There have been several people who have put in suggestions on this one. I do want to read Dungeon Crawler Carl. I don't know if that's the one I'm going to pick or if I'm going to go and actually do some crowdfunding and see if I can find one that is coming out in the next little bit. I haven't had time to really deep dive on this one, and I know there were several suggestions in chats and in comments, so thank you so much for that. I will take a look. Rainbow, I only did one. This is one where I'm like, if it's nowhere else, I go to this one. So I put 450 from Paddington by Agatha Christie on the yellow. I know there are multiple other covers out there for this book, but this is the one that I had, and it was rather yellow, so I went ahead and popped it there. Classic and adaptation, I read After Alice, which I gave a 3-star. I mentioned before when we were talking about Wicked that I didn't love After Alice as much as I liked Wicked, but I could definitely tell they were by the same author, just generally. They have the same type of vibe. I just didn't like it as much. And then Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There, which is a 3-star as well. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite, but I think I liked Through the Looking Glass better than the original. And I definitely liked the movie. I thought the movie was cute. So, yeah, I enjoyed. I did watch the movie because it was available, and I was like, oh, it's on the streaming thing that we have, so I'll watch that. We are over an hour in. I apologize. Oof, I've been chatting away. Protagonist, haven't got to any of those for the same names as friends. Same for season. And that is the end. So it's an hour long. Next time will be much shorter because we really only need to look at whatever the new release is, finishing up the one book from Series Staircase, and then just looking at her Kid 1.0 rather than 2.0 and 1.0. So hopefully it'll be like half an hour, 40 minutes maximum next time. So again, this is a long one because I had 2 different challenges kind of go through. It'll be shorter next month. So thank you for staying until the end, and I appreciate you. Please leave me any suggestions, etc. As per always, I appreciate your comments and suggestions for books. I definitely look at all of the suggestions and look them up and see, have I read it before? Have I read something similar? Do you think you would like it? Can I get it from my library? Etc. etc. So I appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!